We just did it very second. Let the rule. So, I think walk around the days for practice. Like a concert again.
Alrighty, is there a motion to approve today's meeting? Sorry, last week's meeting minutes.
Motion to approve last week's meeting minutes.
Alrighty, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seeing that there's a second, is there any discussion? Alrighty, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, meeting minutes are. Next, we'll move into reports, starting with the chair. I have none. Next, advisors. Advisors, do you have any meeting updates?
No,
What is it, reports?
I don't either.
Next, ASCWU.
Yeah, a few reports, but the first is kind of a raise a hand question. How many of y'all received Washington College grants? Well, currently they're trying to reduce the size of the amount of people that receive the Washington College grant within the legislature. So we are asking students to email their legislators, and we made it really easy by creating a website where you just put in your testimony. So if you guys are interested, I'll leave that here for you guys. And if you do, we just ask that you put your name as well, just so we can keep track of how many centrals are doing central students are doing this, as this is a coalition effort between all the universities within WSA. But yeah, that's my update.
Next, into communications received.
Yes, the committee did receive, it's actually in your book. Grace provided the data requested after the campus activities presentation last week. So if you go back to the 14th, look under campus activities, right behind the base funding request is the data she provided on event attendance.
Sorry, can I touch your laptop?
Yes.
Sorry, I realized I just went. Oh my gosh. Never mind. Alrighty, now I'll be making my first call for public comment. Is there any public comment? Seeing that there is none, we'll move forward with new business. Supplement. Well, I guess that's.
I would, because they're not here.
Okay, cool. Starting with new business, we have base funding request, starting with the university centers. You have power.
Okay. I'm actually going to do the first two, combine them into one presentation. So I won't take 10 minutes for each, and I won't use it 20 minutes.
Do you like to click through?
Yeah. I'll do my best clicking through. My name is Kirk Kirstein, and I am the Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs here at Central University. My primary duties that I take care of is to look over the centers, and that's the 8 centers that we have that are outside, both on the east side and on the west side. What I'm here today is to request funding to continue to support 2 important initiatives. First of all, we appreciate the funding that we've received. It has made a big difference. We were able to reach out to students out at those locations and take care of a number of things they wouldn't normally do. Right? They wouldn't normally be able to have the activities that they have. They wouldn't normally be able to have the job. What we're asking is for a continuation of those funds in order to be able to continue doing the services that we do for those students. All right, first of all, where are the centers? If you're not familiar, we have 3 centers on the east side. They're in Wenatchee, Yakima, and Moses Lake. They primarily cater to elementary education candidates, but not exclusively, right? Then we have centers on the west side, kind of north to south, Linwood, Des Moines, and Pierce. Then over a little bit further to the east, we have Sammamish. And then as an extension of Pierce, we have JBLM. Okay. Here's how things kind of shake out at the centers. If you look in the lower right, you'll see the number of students that are associated with the centers. Some of these students are students that actually go to the centers. Some of them are ones that do online courses, but get their services and the like through the centers. So Des Moines has a pretty good chunk. When you see Moses Lake, it's pretty small because it has just education students. Online is our biggest population. These are students who are taking online programs, but they are are remote, right? And we have Pierce, Sammamish, Wenatchee, Yakima, and the total, we serve 1,902 students in this population. Oh, I want to go back a little bit if I could. Yeah, okay, anyway, a couple things about that were shown in the pie charts. We have about 10% of our students that are military. We have a almost 2-to-1 ratio for gender. Twice as many women students as male students. A large part of that is because the elementary ed population is largely women. We try to get men into elementary ed, doesn't always work, okay? But there's some other kind of key characteristics about that population that we kind of missed. What are we doing here? I'm going to start first with student life. Student life, the best way I can sort of talk about student life is that when you walk around any building in this campus, you can look up the bulletin boards and the like, and you see flyers and posters, and they talk about events. There's movies, there's discussions, there's panels, there's groups, there's events that are happening in the CERC, right? That's great for Ellensburg students. It's not so good for the students that are at the centers because they don't have that kind of option, right? What student life is money that you give to us that allows us to create similar events at the centers, regardless of where the centers are, right? So we have events that happen in Linwood. We have events that happen down in Pierce. We have events that happen on the east side, and also events that happen for populations that are online where they can actually sort of zoom in and take part in presentations that are given by speakers and the like, okay? That's really what student life is all about, kind of in a nutshell. So we are supporting about 500 students that actually go to the centers and 1,400 students that are online. We want to create an engaging environment. We want to give them the same opportunities that Ellensburg students have and get them into those opportunities. Collaborate with our host colleges. 6 of our centers are located at community colleges. And so we want to collaborate with those host colleges because sometimes they have events and we want to be able to bring students into those events as well. And we want to bring their students into our events, okay? Expanding student services. A lot of what happens in student life is we're trying to get financial aid or advising or others to come to the centers. It's difficult sometimes for our center students to know who to go to. So part of what student life does is arrange for that. And then building a stronger student experience, right? The student experience is not just academics, it's academics and co-curricular activities. And so student life is those co-curricular activities. So our staffing right now, we have one student support specialist up in Linwood. Her name is Jessica, and she has 4 campus activity team members. Your funding funds both those types of positions. So it funds Jessica and it funds the 4 campus activity team members there. Then in Des Moines, we have Kelvin right now, and he has 2 campus activity team members. And then Eastside is and online, both are taken care of by Mandy Dolezal, and she has 2 campus activity team members. One important change that we made since the last time is we don't have an assistant director anymore. The assistant director was split. Half the money was coming from S&A and half the money is coming from state funds. That person left and we didn't replace, which is why I'm here, because now I'm taking care of these guys. So areas of focus for student life, you can read through these, but community and academic enrichment, leadership and career development. We celebrate diversity and inclusion. And when you see some of the events that I've listed out, you'll see how that's done. We foster cultural engagement and we enhance student growth. I've listed out, and this is only part of them, and this is from a list of kind of a schedule of events that are being done both on the east side and the west side. Here are categories of the events that we do. Well, first one being national cultural holidays. So things like Black History Month, Lunar New Year, you can read through some of the others, but just acknowledging those different holidays that we may not acknowledge ourselves here, but others do, and it's important to our students. And then our students can learn about what those events are. Awareness Month and special event weeks, things like Stalking Awareness Month, Women's History Month, those kinds of events. And then just fun, game and social events, ping pong tournaments. They have a Super Bowl Wednesday extravaganza where the Wednesday before Super Bowl, they have an event, right? So all kinds of these sort of events, ice cream socials and the like. Then there's arts and crafts and celebration activities, end of year festivities. And those are really important and they're really, really great events. And then presentations, education and leadership events. So here's one example that I wanted to give you, and this one is coming up. It's coming up, I believe, on March 13th. And remember that I said on the east side, the majority of the population on the east side is elementary education candidates or people who are going to become teachers, right? And so they need to start thinking about the jobs they're going to get and how they're going to make those connections. So we host an education career fair, right? Well, that's here in Ellensburg, and that's great. It brings in 36 employers who are interested in hiring teachers. But how do we get the candidates from Wenatchee, Yakima, and Moses Lake here? Some of them don't have the ability to get here. Some of them don't have the money that it takes to get here. Some of them don't even have the clothes that they could wear to be able to present themselves professionally. So this career readiness example is one that I wanted to bring up. So the Education Career Fair is here on main campus. It's for completing teacher candidates. There will be 36 employers present. It's students with financial and transportation challenges from Yakima, Moses Lake, and Wenatchee are who we support with S&A funds to be able to bring them here, right? So we give them transportation to and from the fair and food for the day. We'll have a couple of virtual resume workshops to help them prepare their resumes before they come. And then we also have made clothing available during the Dress for Success Day in Yakima. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. In addition to keeping all of our online students and our center students kind of engaged, we put out regular newsletters. And so this is a multi-page, it's the first page of this most recent newsletter. It's a multi-page newsletter. These are produced in English and in Spanish, so that we can make sure that they get to the right people in the right language. Tells all of what's going on at the centers. Here's one highlight event. This was the end of year event at Des Moines last year. It drew a really large crowd. It was a great event. Provost was there, I was there. We served them food, gave them a nice meal, and acknowledged student award winners. And that's just exclusive for the West Side centers. We're going to do one again this year, and then we're also going to do an East Side Center, which is just coming together. All the East Side centers will come to main campus, and we're working on that this year. Here's an event that's kind of special because it's the first of its kind. A couple weeks ago, Mandy Dolezal, who takes care of Yakima, well, a couple months ago, she reached out to the clothing folks here in Career Services and said, I'd like to have a Dress for Success event. And they're like, please come. We gave her 5 totes, and she came up and grabbed 5 totes worth of stuff and took it down because apparently they have way too much stuff. So she took stuff down, she bought the racks, she set things up, she put the word out, and people came and they got clothes. They got clothes that they could come to the career fair in and represent themselves in a more professional way, all funded by S&A funds. Okay, the other program I want to talk about is the Student Ambassador Program. And this is a shift. This is the second piece. This is a much smaller amount of money that costs, but it's an opportunity for us to hire students who are in programs here, working for us, representing us, reaching out to other students. So it's students supporting students. And it's an opportunity for when students have challenges or questions, or I'm not sure about my financial aid. I don't know who to talk to. Who's my advisor? Where do I go? That's what student ambassadors do. So the purpose is to promote awareness of CWU programs and services at the partner community colleges or at our locations. And strengthen the relationships between the centers and the institutions. Promote events, manage social media, and assist with the updates and support faculty and staff. Student engagement, again, reaching out to students, being there, being a student that is there for a student, right? Sometimes it doesn't always work to talk to somebody that's kind of scary to talk to like me, right? But being a student, talking to a student makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. So community and support, and one point I wanted to bring up, this is one of 2 opportunities we have to hire students. And a lot of the students at the centers are international students who can't get jobs anywhere else. And being able to do these jobs, even though it's only a couple hours a week, maybe up to 20 hours a week, it's not a huge amount of money. It makes a huge difference for the students. So your money allows those students to actually feel a little more comfortable and probably stay in school. Maybe. And then again, it's students talking to students to help new center students understand how to be a center student. Right? And one thing I haven't told you about is we have big designs for the centers, right? The centers have struggled a little bit since COVID, and we're deciding along with the 4 regional directors, that we're going to reach out and do some new stuff at the centers. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to talk about doing graduate programs at the center, something we haven't really focused on too much. We're also going to expand our opportunities for 2+2 partnerships. These are transfer students that come from our center partners and come directly to us. And then we're going to look at opportunities for us to be able to sort of reach out to populations mainly on the west side, but also on the east side, where there's some college but no degree. They've gone to college in the past, they just never finished. So the College of Education and Professional Studies is putting together this really great degree completion program that will appeal to that population, bring them in and help them get that degree, finally get that degree. The student ambassadors will be huge for that, right? Because they can talk to the existing students and tell them, these are your opportunities. If you're in a 2+2 program and you're finishing up a degree with Central and you want to go on to graduate school, here's an opportunity, right? Here's a way that you can remain engaged with Central as you continue your education. So I think that the ambassadors are key to CWU's future growth at the centers. They'll link students to new opportunities, strengthen our partnerships, enhance the student experience, expand student engagement, and sustain our momentum as we start to gain momentum and revitalize what's going on at the center. Right now, our student ambassadors, we have 2 in Linwood. Linwood and Sammamish are covered by 2. Des Moines has 2. Des Moines is probably our biggest West Side center. Pierce only has 1. We may change that in the future. And then Mandy has 2. She has 2 that help her with both East Side and Palm. Okay. I think we did it in under time. I'll take questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Your passion for the centers and the students that you're affecting really comes off of this. So I'd like to appreciate it. Is there any questions?
Have y'all done much budget reduction since the last funding cycle?
Well, there's been some reductions, and we've tried to live within those budget reductions. I think we've done a pretty good job of staying within those. And we do watch on a regular basis, right? I mean, the big events at the end of the year are our most expensive events. So we spend a little extra money on those, but we try to make sure that we stay with them. And some of the things we can do are free, right? Like the clothing, what Dress for Success Day, absolutely free. The students got clothes that were donated by people here. It cost us nothing, not our time.
What programs do you guys do for online students?
It varies. So because there's so many programs here at Central that can be taken entirely by online students, it's a wide swath. I mean, I could go and look. Some of our more popular ones are the IT management program. That one has been very. But, you know, there's others that. It's just a lot of those online students. We service them as a special population because we want to make sure that because they're online students, one of the top reasons why students actually leave a university is because of a sense of isolation. They don't feel a community. They don't feel like they belong. And that's where student life is really trying to make sure that they have opportunities to come listen to speakers and sort of be involved.
I can add that we have in community engagement here, we have started collaborating with Mandy to provide an online development fair for students that are virtual. So yeah, that's one great collaboration we're doing with the university.
I had one, did you want to go?
Oh, no, yeah,
Okay. So in the organization chart that you provided, it said that you had a current vacant position for the Spears Satellite campus.
No, it was at the time it was for Linwood.
It was for
Yeah. It's been filled. But that's for a regional director, or are you talking about?
There's student center.
Oh, okay.
I have a CAT student who's currently vacant 20 hours per week at Pierce.
A campus activity student.
Yeah, that's it. I think that has been filled. I would have to check her. Because your student divisions, and student graduate, we leave. Okay, so get that.
I just had a question about the, because I'm looking at the financial overview. And I was wondering if you could explain the jump in the total salaries and benefits from 2022 to 2023. Because it seems to have stayed around the same from 2023 to 2024, so.
I can't, not immediately, but I can get back to you with that. I would imagine that it's a staffing change that we made. It's probably moving. At one point in time, there was one person who was actually taking care of all of the site. I probably only got 2 people, probably. Yeah, okay.
I had a question about attendance at the events. Do you track that?
We do track it,
Okay.
and it varies.
Okay.
It depends on the event, right? We can have an in-person event in Yakima, And it may not draw that many people, like the clothing, they only do like 8 to 10 people. At the same time, you can have an online one, again at Yakima, I can draw 45. So it just really varies. It depends on also the convenience of how easy it is to get to those locations, especially on the west side where traffic is horrible. We have to deal with that. Okay.
Quick question. The campus activities team members, are those student positions? Okay.
And their numbers, their hours vary from student to student.
How will the reduction affect you within all these different program budgets?
Generally, it hits the students, right? So we have 3 positions that are currently funded by S&A, and those are the positions that Jessica, Mandy, and Calvin hold. And those are the ones that are kind of important, but when the reductions come, we can only bring in so many cats and student members, so that's really important.
Probably to the advisors as well. Looking at your annual program review, question 5 says student ambassadors play a key role in helping prospective students understand the benefits of attending the CWU centers. However, according to the affiliate outline, S&A funding can't really be used for that,
Right.
so because they're not students, and so do you have a reason why they're being used for that?
They're not as much as that might suggest, and that's probably just a real case. We're really focusing on having the students take care of the existing students, so it's student supporting students. The outreach is really going to be done by the regional directors. So as we expand into some of these new program areas, the regional directors are going to be the ones that are solely responsible for that. And we have staff that actually work there that pay that state money.
And then it also says, so thank you for your answer. It also says that, and I think you also mentioned in your presentation that you host community college students at the centers and you help them. How do you ensure that these funded positions are, like you mentioned, helping specifically students if it's like a mix of community college students and
It's less of a mix than you think, right? Mostly the work that the CATs and the student ambassadors are doing are supporting CWU students. And it's not every event that we have, but when we can host community college students, it's a feeder for us, right? It's an opportunity for them to get to know who we are as Central and who we are as Central at that location. So I think that's why we carefully and selectively open some of those events to those students.
Yeah, I had another question. So, it says that, for the year 2025, you're gonna be receiving some, funding from the provost, and it's supplementing the budget.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's any, oh my gosh, if there's any other avenues in which, you see getting other supplemental funding.
That was a one-time deal, right? We were coming in, I was hearing from my regional directors, I really want to keep all of the people that I have, but we were going to run short of the money that we had. And so I went and appealed to the provost, and he gave us $15,000 to supplement the budget. That might happen again. Probably won't happen again. So we'll probably be looking at, and we're in a position right now where we have 2 student ambassadors in Linwood. May not be able to afford to keep both of them for the rest of the year. So again, it hits the student positions.
Thank you so much. All righty, thank you for that presentation. Moving forward with our agenda for today, we'll be hearing from West Side students. Oh, wait. Okay. CWU, you have the floor.
Thank you.
What a great time to do today, so I'm going to, hi. Without me, I'm just 41 trying to use technology. That's cool.
You need to share.
It wouldn't, I downloaded it, it wouldn't, wouldn't let me open, so
Like you share the screen.
there we go.
Um,
Yeah, yes, I can hear the screen from.
Hello, my name is Tommy Skaggs. I'm the general manager of 88 The Bird, KCWU. Today I'll be talking about KCWU, and then we'll pause for questions, and then we'll talk about WSRN. So first we'll be talking about KCWU, 88 The Bird. So who are we? KCWU is CWU's FCC licensed, student-run, professionally managed, award-winning radio station. Students refine their speaking and presentation skills while performing as music DJs, newscasters, sportscasters, talk show hosts, and a variety of other creative roles. So by the numbers, we have 4 studios in our location in Circ 120. We have 2 radio stations. One is our FCC licensed and online, and we have a fully online only station. And we also provide live event and music support across campus. Student radio has been a part of Central Washington University since at least the 40s. I've been working with archives to find the exact date, but it's really evolved. We've survived a fire, we've survived a flood, and we've brought it into the current. We're broadcasting in current ways into the future. We are streaming online. You could get us on iHeart. We have our own app. We have a smart speaker. You can also hear 88 The Bird content if you're in Holmes Dining Hall, in the Circ Pit, anywhere that there's a wired connection at 88 or at Central Washington University. You could tune into 88 The Bird. Who could participate? Any student, any major is welcome to participate. We're not involved with any classes. You don't need to get any credit for it. So whether if students are involved with us because they want a career in broadcasting, if they want to gain some professional experience, they want to try something new, or just have fun, we'll welcome any student from any major. So what do we look like? This is the organization chart. We have 3 professional staff members. We have a general manager, chief engineer, and project and outreach supervisor. And we have anywhere between 14 and 16 student employees, depending on how many hours they work. And these are separated into different categories of student workers. We have tech students. We have students that work on our brand team and events. We have content team for the students that are selecting the music. We have a peer-led training program where we have 2 trainers where students get to train students. We have a news team, and these people focus on local news, and they also conduct most of our interviews. We have a production coordinator that will work with campus and community partners to create announcements that go on the online. And the big thing is we have over 60 volunteer show hosts at the station, and at count this morning, it's 66. We just had a few more graduate from our training program. So it's a pretty big organization. From those 66 show hosts, we have 44 unique shows each week. And some of the ones I'd like to highlight, these are just some of the ones. We have 44 separate shows each week. Some of the ones I want to highlight is The Wrap. This is a co-branded show with the Diversity Center, where students will do video show that goes on the FM dial as well. Monday Morning Mental Health is hosted by Case Management, where they provide resources and they interview a lot of resources for students on campus. Equity they're off air right now, but this was a collaboration with the ESC, where they talked about what the goings on with the Equity Services Council. And then Culture Shock was a partnership with the Office of International Student Programs, where we had international students come on the air and talk about their interactions here at in the United States and being a student central. And just another fun one, we have a Dungeons and Dragons podcast where they come and play live D&D on the radio. We actually have one of our show hosts right here, Hondo. So one of the outside of the actual broadcasting, we do a lot of event support on campus. In fiscal year 24, we hosted, or we helped support over 120 events on campus. So far this fiscal year through last Friday, we've supported over 80 events. One of the big events that we hosted this year was we had an election special that happened in the Cirque Pit, and that was a watch party where it took a long time to figure out how we wanted to handle this, but it had a pretty big attendance. And it was a really good broadcast. Some of the other things we've done involved with the community is we were part of the rodeo parade. And we also hosted a community concert last year at Cornerstone Pie. One of the other big things is we're often the first department that students engage with when they come to Central. On orientation days or on preview days, a lot of times we're stationed right in the parking lot. So as families and students are coming on campus for possibly the first time, we're the first people that they see. Who do we serve? Students first. We serve CWU students. When we make decisions, we think about how does it affect our students here at Central. We also collaborate with the CWU community as a whole, and then we also work with the Ellensburg community. And some of our partners include this is a list of some of our partners. Some of the ones I want to highlight is a Publicity Center and Hype. We work really closely with them. And we also work really closely with event support services, especially when we're working on events and how to perform music at different events that are happening on campus. We also coordinate with other student media outlets where we host the student media podcast at our facility. And so that's people from Pulse and The Observer. It's actually the editor of The Observer hosts that show. One of our community partners is Ellensburg Community Radio. We actually have a memorandum of understanding where we have a data sharing agreement with them. And we also coordinate with local schools. Like even tonight, we're going to be at Ida Mason Elementary School working with the elementary students there. We also have a list of underwriters below. These are all people that provide sponsorships to us. They buy different sponsorship packages to help some of our revenue, our self-support revenue generation. A lot of it comes from these folks listed below. One of the services that we offer, and this is a free service that we offer to any CWU, anybody at CWU or the Ellensburg community, is we're able to air public service announcements. Last fiscal year, we had 55 different campaigns that we supported. This year, we've had 38 campaigns so far, and we have capacity to do a lot more. So if there's any clubs or organizations that want to get the word out to promote their club, we have the capacity to do that. We also have a weekday Hype Minute segment that talks about all the events that are happening on and off campus. Some of the ones that we've done this year is multi-factor authentication, QProm, FAFSA and WASA reminders, and the child care and youth resource fairs are things that we've promoted. One of the other things that we do is we make sure that everything that we broadcast is appropriate to the FCC. We have an FCC license that's good through 2030, in February of 2030. And we also help clubs and organizations play legal music on campus. So we work with these performance rights organizations, and so if a club is doing music at an event, and even if we're not hired to be at that event, we're willing to provide music support to make sure that they're playing the right music so we won't get in legal trouble as a university. Some of our station technology, we're a state-of-the-art facility, like our main studio with the main FM broadcast. We have a really cool new board. It's an industry standard. When we go to different conferences or talk to people, this is the board that people want to use at their radio station right now. And the cool thing about being ahead of the technology is the students that are getting hands-on experience with this, when they go into the job market, they have the latest and greatest, so they know what they're getting into once they get into the real world. We need to also continue, when we think about funding, we need to continue our replacement cycle in a proactive way. Even though our main studio is the latest and greatest technology, a lot of the infrastructure behind the scenes is aging, and we just need to make sure that we keep that up to speed. We also have a large tower, it's just right above us. And so if you ever see that walking in, that's what's transmitting our FM signal. One of the other things, if we get into radio, we also have been started incorporating video. This is mandatory, where we've done in-studio video, where we have a couple of different shows that have in-studio video. We also provide video coverage for ASCWU, the public meetings and the Senate broadcast. And we also provide video coverage for late night leadership talks. So it's just something, as people are getting into broadcasting and radio, they have to be comfortable with video as well. Each year we do a listener survey, and this is where we get a lot of our data to make sure that we're playing the music that the students are wanting. So we do this each spring. We're getting prepared to do it for this year. And this is to just get a sense of what our community's music preferences are. And then we make adjustments based on the feedback that we receive from that. We know that people don't want to listen to EDM and country on the station, but they do like throwbacks, rock, and indie. And people are listening to music about 6 hours a day. After people graduate from CWU, people that are involved in the program, for people that wanted to go into broadcasting, this is a great avenue. This is a list of some of our more recent graduates that of people that were involved with 88 the Berg and now are actually doing it like in the real world. A couple of our people, like Austin and Lily, they were like part of the team like last year, and now they landed a job in the professional market. So for the students that want to use broadcasting as a career, 88 is a great launching point for that. We've like with the budget cuts that have been taking place, we've really been focused on saving money and being really responsible with our budget. So every purchase we make, we want to make sure it's like a necessity. And it's not just something that's, hey, it's going to be cool. We want to make sure it's something that that's really needed. So we've been reviewing all software and hardware. And so we've been working with our contractors to change our contracts around to go to lower plans as needed. We've also implemented in-house or lower cost solution. Elliot's a great programmer, and he's implemented a few solutions that have saved us a lot of money. We've also utilized surplus. We've had a few switches, audio switches that were failing. And luckily they were doing we worked with surplus and some equipment moves around it. We were able to save $12,000 by using something that was in-house already. So that was last year, we were able to save $12,000 just on that piece of equipment alone. We've also limited conference attendance. We're not going to be going to our New York conference like we normally do this year to save some money. We've also been coordinating really strongly with the state work study program to keep our student worker costs as low as possible, so we get as many people on state work study as possible. And since when we were first funded 4 years ago, we've also reduced student staff and hours worked. But I like to do this level of support we're doing. I really want to have that as the last resort, is to have any more reduced student hours and staff work. This is our request. And you can see that a lot of, we have the self-support funds. We have, that's usually been $15,000 to kind of help with the gap. We've increased that to $20,000 that we say that we could bring in each year. So we think that's an achievable goal, but that's also, we're saying that we can bring in more as well. And then, yeah, with that, I have just a really, really quick video, and hopefully the audio doesn't blow us out here. So, oh, and is it good? Is it, oh, come on, video. It's not gonna play, but just imagine, it's a very cool 20-second compilation of all the cool things that we're doing. So, I'm gonna try this one more time, and yeah, I think PowerPoint's just not our friend today. So I want to thank you very much for watching or listening to my presentation, and we'll take any questions about KCWU.
Actually, I think, can you?
Yeah.
I think if you try clicking above the play button and get the slider back to the start of the video, that might lead. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, a good idea though.
It might
Yeah.
it might be curl and then click.
Oh, curl and a click.
Yeah. I was
Yeah, it's yeah, it's just a really cool, it's a cool compilation of all like it's a, yeah, so. Too bad. That's all good though, no worries. Yeah, any questions about it?
Yes.
Where are those allocated to? Like, what do you use?
So yeah, all of our so that goes into, it will fund our students, it'll fund our student workers, it funds our it just goes into our general budget. Like we have like the one pot, and so like it just funds like it would be our student workers or our equipment that we buy. Yeah. Oh,
I also have another question. How does, you mentioned you haven't gone to conferences due to budget cuts. How does that impact the students?
well, so there's a lot especially the New York conference is a pretty expensive one, because if we send somebody there, it's about a $10,000. So we had to, and then the year prior to that, Elliot and I did not go to the National Association of Broadcasters, so that had an impact as well with our vendors. So when students aren't able to go to conferences, that's where a lot of the professional development connections happen. One of the things that we did this year was we were able to find a Seattle conference. And so students had the opportunity to go to the Seattle conference, which really cut down on flights. So we found one that was like, it's one that's a national conference, and somehow it landed in Seattle this year. So 2 students went to that this year. And from that conference, we made connections to people at in professional radio in Seattle, and we're also going to be doing a site visit from that. So they had some good, they also had interviews there as well. So the 2 students that went had a really valuable experience. The one downside about not going to New York is that's where we submit a lot of our awards to, and we're not going to be going to there. So one of the things I'm a little worried about is because we're not at the conference where they're giving the awards, they might not, you know, they might not think that, oh, they're not taking this seriously. So that's the intercollegiate broadcast systems that we usually submit to those. And where we won Station of the Year for like nationwide in 2015 and 2022 from there. And we're nominated for 5 awards this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be in March that we'll hopefully win some of those.
How many staff do you have in the office for?
Like, so we have 3 professional staff, and right now, as of today, we have 14 paid student staff, and we have a vacancy right now. We're trying to hire somebody that's really familiar with Latin and Spanish music, because we've been asked to do some events that are specifically tailored for Latinx and Hispanic groups. And so we're hoping to find somebody that was really knowledgeable about that music, and we're willing to do all the training on how to DJ for that. So we have 14 right now, and then with a possible 15th, and that 15th would just be an on-call position where they would just be sent to do those events. So whoever gets hired for that could have other employment on campus.
Then I do have another.
Yeah.
Looking at your budget from
Yeah.
where you're spending 2024.
Mhm.
I see quite a big jump from 2023 under a CWU program from 12,000 to 42,000. Do you know why there's such a big jump?
What, can I look over this right quick? I think I'd have to look at that with Aaron to like see what like line by line about like what, because some of that may have been like how it was budgetly allocated. And so that would be, I think that would be a good question to work with Aaron about.
I want to say it was equipment.
Yeah, because we had a big, like, one of the things that we did, we had a $30,000 wide orbit upgrade. So that maybe accounts for the 2.
But yeah, that's about.
Yeah. So that's like, we had our servers that run the station were running on 2016, and we had to get that upgraded. So it was like a necessity, like it was a big purchase, but it was a necessity thing for security and just keeping it up to date.
I guess I'll just
Yeah.
kind of fly to ask kind of everyone, just like what sort of budget reductions have y'all done between the cycle and the last one? I mean, I know y'all are talking about bringing in like another 20,000, but
Yeah. So the number that we had, I'm gonna go back to that. The number that we have here represents a 18% reduction. And so from that 18% reduction, that's like $92,000 less than we got 4 years ago. And one of the other things I do want to point out is when we were allocated 4 years ago, we also 2 of the staff positions. So my position was funded out of S&A, while the other 2 professional staff were actually sub-fee funded. And so it's like the cut from our initial allocation sub fee plus S&A to now is $92,000 less, and that even includes the cost of everything going up as well. So it's it's gonna be a stretch, but I think we can do it. But yeah, right now, from that number to what it was 4 years ago, that's 18%.
Got it.
Yes.
Sorry,
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, please go.
I was just wondering how the reduction will affect you within the program within the next 4 years.
like the one thing that I think we're most worried about is just keeping our gear current. Like we've been really lean. We had some money left over in previous years just because of the money savings and and especially that $12,000 that we saved with the switches. We need to get back on our replacement cycle. And we want to make sure I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I'm worried. I'm a little worried about the gear, and actually being able to function. And I'm also concerned that if we have more reduction, we need to have a certain amount of gear and licenses that we have to pay for, even some of the music licenses we pay for. I'm worried that'll start affecting student worker hours again. Because when I first came in, it was 20 hours a week for 20 students. Right now, we're about 15 hours a week for about 14 students. So we're I think it'd be the student work hours and making sure that our gear is current. That's and we'd have to, seeing what our allocation is for the next 4 years, I think we just have to make the budget at that point. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the surveys. How long are those available and where?
Yeah, so we put them up in the spring. And then we do tabling events. We have it online. We do a social media push. This year they're going to be doing a really cool claymation videos to help promote it. And then the prior year we worked with Club 301 and they ended up getting us apparel that we were able to give out. So take a survey, get a shirt. Is something we did. So we were on the west patio. So as people are coming in, we have iPads. And then we also do a social media campaign. For this upcoming year, we haven't established the length of it, but it'll usually about 2 weeks that we would be collecting.
And then my last question,
Yes.
since we only have 1 minute.
Sure.
Can you explain the sub-fee situation and are there any staff positions that are funded by that?
Yeah, so the two positions, we have the 3 professional staff. My position was always S&A funded, and the other 2 is the chief engineer and then the project outreach supervisor. Those 2 positions were sub-fee funded. And 2 years ago, there was a decision that was made to streamline the budgets to have those brought into S&A. So comparative, our S&A ask is a lot higher than it was 4 years ago because it includes those 2 positions that came in, but our ask as a whole is lower. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I just want to, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I always want to give around.
Oh,
It's always such, it's kind of hard to answer questions back to back to back.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I do want to check in with everyone. Do we need a recess? Are we okay to keep going?
We recess for 5 minutes.
Okay, is there a motion to recess then?
Motion to recess for 5 minutes.
Okay, is there a second? Second that. Already, any discussion? And, sorry, hold on. All those in favor of recessing, taking a recess for 5 minutes, please say aye. Already, the ayes have it. We'll come back at 2:55. I was like, wait, is it salary?
Yeah.
$31,000. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like my job. Like, I don't know. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. I call this meeting back to order at 2:55 p.m.
Alright. So this one's gonna be a lot shorter, because this is WSRN. Because what WSRN, the Wildcat Sports Radio Network. So the Wildcat Sports Radio Network is a partner department with KCWU. And what this budget allows is it allows students to provide coverage, play-by-play coverage for football, every single football game, for the home games, every single home game for football, men's basketball, women's basketball, some baseball, some softball. We started doing rugby and they've been doing really good at that. And they also have a segment they do called The Rundown where they cover what's going on with CWU and local sports. What this budget pays for, it only pays for 3 staff members. We also have rotating volunteers where if somebody wants to come and sit on a basketball game and see what it's like to do play-by-play, we offer that to our volunteers as well. This budget or the WSRN is dependent on KCWU for equipment and broadcasting logistics. And it allows a dedicated staff to provide sports coverage. One of the, like in past reports, one of the comments was to improve communications and our relationship with the athletics department. And so I want to say that our communication collaboration with athletics is awesome. We've been working with Josh Wetzler and Blake Patterson, and they have been giving us like improved visibility. And they've just been giving us a ton of different opportunities to have access to the athletes. And for basketball, they're letting us sit on press row this year, which is really neat visibility. And then we're actually in the press box for all the football games. Our audio, the WSRN audio is on their video stream. So if you're watching the video, that's the WSRN people. Our audio is also on their social media and highlight reels. And we even had a call this season that was featured on CBS Sports. So it looked pretty cool. One of the other things that we're going to be doing next week is we're working with the Western Washington University. So we might be going over to Western to call an away game next Thursday. So we have some really cool opportunities. This budget, once again, it only pays for some students, and we're asking for $7,200 to pay for these students. That is WSRN. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
How do you track the listeners and engagement?
It's so the number, the actual like video stream, like that would be a number that's tracked by athletics. And I don't know if we've seen it. We haven't seen those numbers, but our listenership would be through, because we also, anything that we do for that's on the athletic stream is also going our FM airwaves. So we can track who's listening online, but we are not able to know how many people are tuning in on the FM dial. So we know that most of the people who are tuning in to WSRN and KCWU are listening over the FM airwaves. So we only see like a fraction of the people that are listening, but we do see whenever we do sports, our number just jumps up.
Give me a few moments.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Since this is tied to athletics and I'm assuming athletics doesn't have their own broadcast.
Correct. Yeah, or play-by-play broadcasters, right? Yeah.
Have you reached out to maybe athletic to see if they can maybe supplement some of this funding?
We haven't had that conversation with them about funding. Like they have that could be an option. Like but I think if we start doing that, I think they would maybe have more like influence. Like there's a potential where that could be funded by athletics. Like, and if they did that, like, there would be a different type of partnership and maybe like an MOU that would happen. This way, it's really seamless where we have students that are learning broadcast, students that are learning the FCC guidelines, students that are actually like using the KCWU equipment, that we're able to provide all of that training in-house and send them off. Rather than if they had their own broadcasters, we would have to figure out an equipment sharing. Like, this is like sports radio is a big part of broadcasting, and this allows us to be able to focus on sports. So if this got pulled out of the KCWU, like if that partnership KCWU WSRN like went away, we might not be able to have that sports coverage that we would like to have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How many students benefit from learning how to use the equipment, learning how to become a play-by-play broadcaster?
Sure. Right now we have 3 students that are on the payroll for this. Some years we've had 2, and it like people get assigned depending on when they're going and doing games. Right now we have, I think, 4 or 5 volunteers that are also helping out. They call that sitting third seat. So we'll have our play-by-play commentator, our color commentator, and then somebody who's adding additional color commentary will be part of the games. And those people would be either a mix of paid staff and volunteers. Anybody who's in control of the broadcast, who's actually like running the gear, who's responsible for the stream, they're the one of the 3 that are on the paid staff. Yeah.
Wow. Is there any data of how many like people on campus how often do they use this resource?
Like how long do they access it, like, or how they
Do all these individual sports, is it like every on-campus game or certain big?
Yeah, so for like every single men's and women's basketball game we're involved with. So and then every football game we're part of. We're going to be doing every men's and women's rugby game, and then we'll probably be doing 1 or 2 softballs and 1 or 2 baseballs on select games.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, Office of International Studies, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rachel Gordon. This is Ryan Duncan, and we're with the programs. So as we plan for the next quadrennium, we seek ongoing funding to continue supporting both international students and their domestic peers. Programming that the S&A funding makes possible is essential for student success and helps maintain our institution's competitiveness, inclusivity, and appeal to international students. This is our voice organizational chart. As you can see, our office is structured to handle multiple key functions that are essential to the success of our international students and the overall inclusivity of our campus community. So through the various departments here, we have AUAP. Thank you, my pointer. So that's the Asia University America program where students come for 5 months at a time to be immersed in English culture or English language and American culture. Our ISSS department in orange or yellow, which is the department that supports recruitment, admissions, advising, and programming for international students, as well as international partnership management. And then our education abroad department is for study abroad and exchange, internships, sort of stuff. And then UESL is our in-house English language program. So overall, we're OISP, but we have these multiple departments within our. We just wanted to pop out a little bit here, our ISSS division. So while we all support our international students, within ISSS is where the spending of our S&A funds comes from, with Ryan and our two program assistants. Currently two program assistants. They put together all of the events and programming for international students, and so we're going to pop that out. So, what do we do in ISSS? So our office offers a wide array of essential services and programs that directly impacts the international student population, as well as the domestic students that are seeking to study abroad. The main functions that we offer are, attracting and admitting talented international students to enrich our campus community, helping international students navigate the complex visa requirements and stay compliant with U.S. regulations, providing guidance to international students and U.S. students pursuing education abroad to ensure they're on track academically, ensuring that international students have required health coverage, which is a crucial part of their well-being, organizing programs that encourage cultural exchange and engagement between international and domestic students, and then managing and developing our global partnerships that enhance the international dimension of our academic and co-curricular offerings. Our rationale for funding, our work directly aligns with CW's mission, vision and mission. And we're the only office on campus that offers programming that's specifically designed to connect international and domestic students, fostering cross-cultural communication and promoting intercultural competency. We're self-support and we're responsible for a wide range of crucial tasks, including international student recruitment, international student admissions, immigration advising, academic advising for international students. So on. So we're fully support the students through their entire life cycle of being a student, from prospect to graduation and then beyond. So in order to achieve greater student retention and meet the strategic goals of the institution, it's essential that we provide this student population with more robust support and expand programming created with them in mind. This funding will allow us to enhance our services, expand access to the programming we already offer by being able to further offset the cost charged to students to participate, and continue to support students more effectively. The additional resources will help us create a stronger and more inclusive campus culture, which is key to retaining international students and supporting their academic success. So our work directly aligns with Central's vision, mission in the following ways. With engagement, we actively foster mutual respect, understanding, and responsibility by creating opportunities for students, faculty, and staff to connect with people from diverse cultures. The programs we host enrich student engagement and deepen cultural awareness. These shared experiences not only help international students feel more connected, but they also give domestic students the opportunity to broaden their global perspectives. Belonging. One of our core goals is to create a welcoming environment for international students. We do this by offering resources, services, and programs that promote inclusion, helping students from different backgrounds integrate into campus life, while also giving them the opportunity to share aspects of their culture and identity with the overall campus community. And the programs we offer help cultivate an inclusive atmosphere where diverse perspectives are valued and celebrated. And then stewardship. Our office promotes a socially just world by helping build meaningful connections between students, faculty, and staff in many different cultures. To make this possible, we ensure that our staff, both professional and student staff, are well equipped to navigate international and intercultural challenges with care and compassion. So ultimately, the work that we do directly contributes to making CWU a more inclusive and globally engaged institution, one that values diversity, promotes cross-cultural exchange, and creates a sense of community and belonging for all students.
All right, so just to give you kind of an idea snapshot of our international student population. So this year we have about 215 international students from 50 different unique countries. 142 of those are here in Ellensburg. We also have a pretty sizable number that attend our centers as well. And you can see we have a full range of both graduate students, undergrads, postbacs, students that are non-matric students. We also help domestic students, so students from the United States that want to study abroad, want to get to know other cultures of our international students. We do some events with faculty and community, and also visiting scholars or people here to do research, basically. So when I am deciding which programs I want to invest the S&A money into, this is kind of what I am thinking about these next couple slides. So the first thing I want you to really try to understand is the importance of our international students here in Ellensburg for the student population. They bring a lot of diversity, both in residence halls, but as well as in classrooms, different ways of thinking from their home countries, the cultural sensitivity. And I'm sure a lot of our students here in the room know that employers are really looking for cross-cultural experience. So this international students are how students here at Central right now can gain that cross-culture. Okay, so this is kind of what I just said as well, but basically our S&A funds are being used to help with these points. So foster cross-cultural connections between international students as well as international and domestic students. Helping our students learn about the world cultures. We also provide a lot of our international students with leadership opportunities, as well as work experience in a US centered area, which may be very different from their home countries. So this is kind of an example of what we used S&A funds to do last quarter, so fall of 24. So our big trip each quarter, we do a day trip over to Seattle. Lots of our students really want to have that big city experience. So we sell out a bus of 56 people every single time we do that. We have international cafes, usually 2 or 3 a quarter. That allows domestic students and international students to really mix, play games, get to know each other, just have fun and learn about these things. We went hiking on a trip. In fall each year, we also do International Education Week. And that's a big week-long celebration where we do multiple events of different types every single day. So we have like our parade of flags where students can sign up to have a flag, and then we walk around, do a parade around campus. We have a talk series that is actively going, where international professors can present their experiences as an international student to our current students, and have our current students ask questions, seek feedback on things that professor did to help them through their difficult times. We had a movie night, and then one of my favorite things we did is we did like an international dinner. It was pretty small this year because it was the first time, but next year we're hoping to really expand it. So international students could sign up to cook a meal from their home country. Really quick, some of the things I'm planning already for next quarter. So we have another Seattle trip plus Mariners game. We're working with the Wildcat Pantry. First time we're going to the west side to do a cultural grocery store trip, so students can get their cultural foods that they can't get here in Ellensburg. We're working with CWU to do an international board game night, and then we have 2 more international cafes that are being hosted. This is just a short list of all the offices that we work with here at Ellensburg on campus. So you can see we go all the way everywhere on campus. We really try to have our international students with the best opportunities to meet domestic students, get experience in other departments around campus. A lot of them you'll see are through our international cafes. That's our biggest events where we have people come and help meet new students. We also do orientation for our students every single quarter. So along with some of these, we have even more that do a resource fair every quarter. So we work with many different departments here on campus. This is a very zoomed in look at how we spent our S&A money this last quadrennium. So this right here is how much money we got, the second line. And then our student payroll, so the 2 to 4 student workers were that much, and then our direct program expenses is that bottom line.
They all just 1 minute.
Yep, this is the last slide. So then we're asking to raise up a little bit from 15 to 17,000, just so we can help fund our student workers a little more. Some of our trips, we have to unfortunately have students help subsidize them. So like our Seattle trips, students have to help us pay for the bus because we don't have enough money through S&A to get that bus fully paid off. So getting a little bit more would help lower the amount of money that we have to charge our students. Cool. Any questions? Okay.
When
Yeah.
your student employees, it says that you offer it to international and
Yes.
current employees, like
Yeah.
domestic.
Students, yeah.
Are any of your current student employees domestic, or are they all international?
My 2 program assistants that are paid through S&A are both international students right now. But when I was doing the hiring process, I did interview multiple domestic students. So
Yeah, so you're asking for an increase. What, do you see any problems arising if you don't get that increase?
no, we could make it work at the same amount. We're just asking for that little bit extra just to help us so our students don't have to pay as much to go on these trips that they so desperately want. And the world economy as well, our dollar's getting stronger, lowering, and like Japan is our most numerous country we get students from, and the yen is really low right now. So them spending 40 American dollars to go on a trip, it's a lot more than 40 American dollars for us. It's a lot more for them.
And also at the beginning of this quadrennium, we were able to employ 4 student workers under Ryan, and we've since, each year cut back to now we only have 2 at part-time. And we were able to almost fully fund these trips to Seattle, or, highly supplement the amount that the students had to pay. And now just with the cost of gas, the cost with food increases, wage increases, the support we're able to offer the students has decreased just by the cost of life increasing. So that's why another reason why we're asking for a small increase to be able to, continue providing what we have been.
That only amount of students that receive these resources.
Which resources are you asking about? Like just our trips?
Like,
Or
international students how many international students are there from like last year to this year? And
yeah, so we do have that data. I didn't look at last year's numbers, but just like across all of Central, we've been seeing slow, but it's evening out. We're hoping it'll go back up. So like I said, I think the number was 188 or something like that are here right now. Last year, we probably had like 195 or something like that.
But overall, the program that we offer isn't just for international students,
Yep.
it's just with them in mind. So it, yeah, so it's open to every student to attend.
Yeah, all of our S&A funded events are open to any CW student, not international students only.
I have a question about your budget.
Yeah.
You're only asking in your budget for money for payroll, student payroll, but you're talking about, potentially goods and services in your presentation, and so, does that mean you're gonna, that this budget is stated, or?
Can I?
Yeah. Yeah, this is what was put out on. There's no goods and services, only student wages.
I would have to ask our financial person about it, but my plan is if we get bill a little bit more, I would split it between wages and our goods and services.
Actually, just going on from what you just said, does that mean hiring more student staff or? giving raises?
Ideally, so right now I have 2 student staff. One is 10 hours and one is 5 hours a week. My ideal would to either be raise that 5 up to 10, so I have 2 10s. Or if that 5 can't go to 10, get another a third program assistant.
And then have you looked to maybe sponsor any of these trips to subsidize in other areas or other like facets for these students?
Yeah, so can you explain what you mean by sponsor?
Like an office at the university sponsors X number of tickets or admission, international, or just any student to go on like Seattle day trip.
Yeah. I haven't thought about it, but it's a good idea. If we stay at the same, I'd probably start looking into it, yeah.
Also, our office is self-support, so I don't know what budget would have the ability to pay for either.
And then is there any lodging for your travel that you?
Yeah, all our trips are all single day. Yeah.
Then, I just want to ask.
Yeah.
Quickly, I'm assuming not, but do these student employees help with recruitment or?
No. Yeah, the program assistants help me. Their main responsibilities are like social media stuff and helping facilitate events and planning events.
I mean, somewhat inadvertently, because the students come here, they help with orientation and onboarding.
Yeah.
And so through word of mouth is one of the largest
Yes.
ways of recruitment of international students, so, you know, long way around, they probably do help with recruitment in that way, you know, because they help everyone have a good experience, but not directly.
Where's your like center?
We're in Kepler.
Yeah, Hebler Hall.
Sorry, I'm asking a lot of.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
Thank you for being here. On average, how much engagement would you say like students engage with the office in Kepler?
Yeah, it depends on the type of event. If we're doing like a day trip or something where we're leaving Ellensburg, our international students really enjoy that because they like seeing more of Washington, they like seeing the bigger cities, things like that. Some of our Ellensburg specific events are a little bit smaller, but it all depends on what type of event we're trying to go for. Some of them we're purposely trying to keep it a little bit smaller on our end and to make the event just run smoother, but yeah. Sure.
Corporations or local organizations that could help start that now?
I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. Do you have any?
So when we say OIS for self-support, we have other departments within OIS, like education abroad. They charge a fee for students to, like a concurrent enrollment fee when they go abroad. That money comes into OIS. For UESL or University English as a second language program, they're self-support, so they charge the students the amount. It's not like our overall tuition amount. And we don't get any portion of just straight tuition like an academic department would. We're just funded by the provost and by our money we receive from these other departments within voice.
Thank you so much. And that is the end of questioning. So I'd like to thank you guys for being here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the CWU Mariachi. You have the floor. Or just like.
There's a little icon with it.
We're presenting first, right?
Yes.
You guys are ready. Someone will need to click through the slides. All right. Hi, everyone. We are Mariachi. And we're here to present for you for S&A, for you all. So mariachi is more than music. Mariachi is culture. Mariachi is heritage. Mariachi is hundreds of years of tradition. And it's a way to connect people to music and interconnects generations. And it's a way to experience what I like to call magic. So the importance of mariachi here on Central is it connects us to the CWU's diversity and inclusivity statement. It's also culture and academic benefits of the culture and academic benefits for a structured mariachi program would be that it would provide accessibility for all students on campus to have access to mariachi music. So if they were interested, if they were perhaps a music major or like a biology major, that they could all participate in our ensemble and they can like learn more about mariachi. Oh, sorry, and it also supports, most importantly, also supports CWU's HSI initiative and student retention, which we will talk more about in the presentation. So now we have Andres.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andres Moreno, and I serve as the interim director in the Office of Admissions. And I'll be presenting on 3 topics, how it relates to the mariachi. So the mariachi program has been, a critical component of a recruitment strategy. But when you think about the mariachi as a whole, it's multifaceted. One of the biggest pieces that we saw as a critical element to really begin those connections with community, building that connection with the Latino population is through a high impact practice called the Northwest Mariachi Festival. So the festival has actually been on for 25 years. This year, Central will be a sponsor once again. So we've been participating in that festival for about 13 years. The great thing about this festival, as you can see, is that we have the opportunity to award community-based tuition awards. So this reduces the amount of tuition that students pay who apply for this scholarship and get selected through a partnership with the festival. Year to date, so since 2013 to now, we've awarded over 31 scholars through this festival. Often these students are first years from different communities across Washington State. We've also seen a few transfer students, but a majority are first year students. The award is about $2,500 per year, renewable for 2 years. So we use that mainly as a recruitment, but also as a retention piece to get students connected to the university. When you think about the amount that we've invested over the last 13 years, we've awarded over $155,000 worth of tuition money to these students. And it's wonderful to see that because when you think about our first 2 scholars that were awarded in 2013, Oscar and Eduardo, they were the ones that sort of were the catalyst to create a mariachi organization here on campus during their first couple years. Transitioning to the recruitment strategy, as Yahaira said, you know, the university has a specific strategy on how to become an HSI. But when you think about some of the things that we're doing in admissions, we definitely see Mariachi del Centro and all the efforts they've done as both a visibility and recruitment tool for this institution. And we've seen that on and off, I think. After COVID, it's been a little bit challenging to, actually during COVID, it was really challenging to do anything in terms of events, large spaces. But after coming back from COVID, we've had an opportunity to connect with Mariachi del Centro, connect them to different schools. In fact, even just yesterday, they hosted Eastmont High School. They had brought about 60 students. These are juniors, seniors, even younger actually. And they had a chance to go on a campus tour, get a sense of the university community, and then perform alongside mariachi. We are definitely, you know, really intentional about working with underrepresented populations and communities. And based on the mariachi's reach, the high schools all across Washington State have that component of music and culture. And so we're seeing that it resonates well with the Mariachi del Centro. Lastly, another recruitment strategy with regards to mariachi is financial support and reducing the financial burden. So as I mentioned, the scholarship that we've awarded is both a recruitment and retention tool. One of the things that we're exploring even now is how do we expand that to not only a 2-year, but also a 4-year scholarship that we can commit to students that would allow them to use their 3rd and 4th year. Finally, the impact on the community has been, here in the institutional community, has been significant. Over 80% of the scholars that have been awarded the scholarship actually retain and succeed and go through our universities and graduation. One example was yesterday, the teacher that brought the students from Eastmont High School is a former alum. We awarded him the scholarship back in 2021, I believe, and majored in music education. He's now a teacher, and yesterday he brought his students to CWU. The last couple things is the mariachi has been a critical component in, you know, fostering that support system. It's more than a club and organization. You know, they often do create that network to once again address any challenges, connect through music, but more importantly, motivate each other to continue with their education. And lastly, I think the impact it has on the university, it contributes to our university's vision statement of being a model learning community of equity and belonging. The Mariachi Festival has been a high impact practice that really has been critical in fostering those community relationships with the Latino community.
Thank you, Andres. So currently we're exploring, we are fortunate enough that we have one class that teaches mariachi, and that's our professor here, Dr. Smith. He is the one that teaches the class. So it serves as we are hoping that in the near future, we will get a 3-tier system where we have advanced, intermediate, beginner classes so that we can foster and host more students. It is something that we currently see that it's our current struggle. Mariachi fits, like I said, within the cultural studies and music studies already within its programs. And if it would become official, it can create like a structured learning and pathway for students and community members to pursue this as a degree or lifestyle. But we're not pitching like the pro program. We're just pitching just your idea to support us. Next, please. We just want to have that seed in your mind. Go ahead, Kiko.
So my name is Kiko Gomez. I am one of the co-presidents for the mariachi here at CWU, and I am a sophomore. I just joined last year. I was one of the lucky students to receive one of the mariachi scholarship awards of $10,000 over my 4 years here. And my expectation for the mariachi coming here was basically that it was in my head, it was going to be more structured, more bigger, possibly get traje suits. From my high school, we never had no traje suits, which are a little bit pricey, but they make you look professional. They make you, to me, it's what I've always wanted, you know, like I've been doing this for more than 5 years and I hope to gain at least like something memorable from this. The money will better the future for the incoming mariachis because unfortunately with like instruments and trajes, instruments, we don't have enough instruments for all students to play with us. So we really hope we are able to obtain more instruments as well as trajes. We will all look put together and yeah.
So, what we're asking for today is supplemental support with trajes and instruments. Trajes have a cultural significance within the mariachi. And so not only does it represent like the mariachi, but it's a Mexican nationality that it represents. Also, the instruments that mariachi plays, like if you don't play specific instruments like our guitarrón and la vihuela, it's not even considered a mariachi. You need those specific elements in order to be considered one. And so we also want to have more visibility for the university. So we would like to go on trips, maybe competitively compete and be nationally known. And so Luca is going to talk about the budget itself.
Here we have the numbers and the categories of what we're requesting. Up here, you'll see payroll expenses, travel expenses, maintenance, and ensemble essentials. First, I'm going to talk about ensemble essentials. On the budget, we firstly have, or I don't remember the order, but we have instruments, trajes, and money for music. To start off with instruments, we want to have money for instruments because as it stands right now, the school isn't loaning out instruments to students who are in a methods class. In regards to violins and trumpets. And for some students that come here, they don't have money for instruments. They don't have those instruments at home and they want to play. And then in regards to guitarrones and vihuelas, like the instruments you see before you right now, in regards to those cultural instruments, those are ones from home. Those do not belong to the university. And that's not fair because those instruments are not widely available and they're quite pricey. And if the university could provide those instruments, that means more people could join. We have a wait list right now of students who want to learn a vihuela, who want to learn a guitarrón, who maybe want to learn a violin or a trumpet, and it's not available to them because we don't have those instruments. Next on the list, you will see that we have trajes, and as Yahaira mentioned, that's the symbol of our country. The president of Mexico actually made the charro suit or the traje suit the national icon to represent the culture of Mexico, and we're not fully representing the full potential of what mariachi is without the traje. Without the traje, we're just the music, but mariachi is more than just the music. We're the whole performance. We're visual, and we're about connecting with the audience.
Culturally appropriate.
Yeah, and it'll be more culturally appropriate if we're wearing traje suits. And then lastly, you'll see on the budget for ensemble essentials is music. As it stands right now, we have a limited library and we don't have money to buy more music. And if we can get money to buy more music, we can access more music to better diversify our cultural representation. Another thing I'd like to talk about is payroll expenses. On the budget, we have the payroll for a professional mariachi instructor to come and teach us mariachi. As it stands right now, we have Dr. Smith and he's really helpful and he has been guiding us through really well. But we really want someone who has been educated in the style and this is their their goal in life is to teach mariachi. And if we get that instructor.
Hi, Luca. I apologize for interrupting. However, we are a little bit over time, and so to respect everyone's time, if we want to continue the presentation, I do have to have a motion to extend 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But yes.
Motion to extend by 5 minutes.
Okay, is there a second? Second that. Okay, is there any discussion? No. Alrighty, all those in favor of extending their time by 5 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, your presentation is extended by 5 minutes. Give me 1 moment.
Thank you. Okay. And just having that instructor, they can work individually with students. Right now, if a student wants to learn an instrument, they have to reach out to other students to teach them, or they just have to learn on their own. And that means that everyone's at different levels because not everyone is a music major in our group. And so not everyone has a music proficiency to just pick up an instrument and learn it. And an instructor can work with the students individually. They can weave together the sections because they know how each section works and how they work together. And we can just be a more polished ensemble overall. As also on our payroll expenses, we have student rules. As it stands right now, the board does a lot of work for the mariachi. We run schedules, we outreach for gigs, we help handle the music library. We do all sorts of things, and those jobs are not paid. And if you compare us to the marching band or pep band, for example, librarians are paid, people who write drill are paid, and us section leaders are paid, which us as students are also section leaders teaching instruments to the students. If we can follow that precedent and get paid for those jobs, we can have a higher retention within our group, and we can have the students feel more incentivized to take time out of their day to teach other students and help them through the process of learning the music and style.
Thank you, Luca. So moving forward, in conclusion, we do have some statements from like our students. Like I said, this aligns with our HSI initiative and diversity goals. It would help students' retention for our Latin students here on campus. And also we would appreciate like the vision for the future to establish something. We want to create a home for our community, for our people, and we hope that you can support that. And we'll just leave the last, if we can get our students to get ready to perform, and Daniel, can you provide your perspective, your statement?
Right, so I'm a transfer student, and I was at Eastern Washington University. When I transferred, I was, not all students are music majors, but we still love the music. I'm majoring in safety and health management, but I was excited regardless to transfer to Central because I knew they still had mariachi. And after coming here, I realized that Central has a lot of great talent, and we just, where I was at, there was also mariachi, but there was a big difference. Coming here, I see that everyone has the love for the mariachi, and I hope that going forward, we're able to work something out to see the support of the university.
We're going to present you a song so that you can for yourself experience the magic. So here we go. Ready?
Motion to extend the meeting. Oh, extend by 30.
Alrighty, the current motion on the floor is to extend the meeting by 30 minutes. Is there a second? Alrighty, seeing that there's a second, is there any discussion? Alrighty, the meeting is extended by, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. The ayes have. All those opposed?
Nay.
Oh, I didn't actually ask that. Alrighty. Since I'm not sure of the count, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Alrighty, the motion passes to extend the meeting by 30 minutes, 4-1. Okay. Now we'll move into. Is there any questions?
I think my first question, is related to the payroll portion and specifically the instructor. Would this instructor be teaching 4 credit courses?
So right now we are currently exploring those options. We don't really have that fine. Dr. Seth, do you have me here?
Sure. At the moment, I was approached, I don't know, back in 2019, by the student organization club that wanted to essentially expand the music department's involvement. And so what we were able to do was find a course that is a mixed chamber music course option that has been on the books in the department for many years, and purposed it for a mariachi ensemble. And currently before the faculty senate is a proposal to create 2 unique course numbers, tiered mariachi performance ensembles, one to be more beginner, intermediate, and one to represent, I think, kind of the varsity course. And so presumably those courses will be approved and be available. And so an adjunct or faculty member could teach those courses for credit. And they could fit into a degree structure in the form of a Bachelor of Arts in Music, Bachelor of Music Education, to satisfy ensemble requirements, for example, or fit into interdisciplinary programs such as the Heritage Certificate or other things. And so there could be options for applied study as well, which would mean individual instruction, which are often taught by non-tenured faculty members. Areas of expertise. So
I think to answer your question, the thing is that there's a need, like there's an immediate need for an instructor, but we understand that there's like there's a process and things need to get approved. So I don't think that we could have anyone that could teach like with like that. If an instructor were to come, I don't think it would be under like a program or accredited program, because it's something that's in the works. But like we would ideally want maybe somebody to just come temporarily that can give some instruction. Non-accredited, it would just be like as a guest artist that could come. But I just want to just let you know out there that there is an immediate need, and then we understand that we would love for it to move forward as like an institution that the institution can adopt. But yes, it does that. I don't think that answers your question. But it's up to the committee. Yeah.
I also had a question. So for the pay rate for the uniform assistant and everything other than the mariachi instructor, it's $15, which is under the legal
Yeah.
The minimum wage.
So.
So it's interesting because we modeled, Luca can talk more about this, but we modeled the model of our presentation to the pep bands. And according to using them as a reference, they pay their peers and all the student like staff $12 an hour. So I don't know if maybe that was just an outdated budget.
That's against the law.
Yeah, so I just wanted to let you know, that was just a reference point.
Okay.
Obviously, we can accommodate to more. We're just, we just use that as a reference. But I think that those numbers we need to change to fit the state guideline to minimum wage. Thank you.
I think. State, I don't know. In the essence of transparency, I just want to bring to you guys' attention that this budget right here is not the one originally, sorry, this one we're looking at is not the one originally submitted. And with their request. So just keep that in mind.
You should have both. I have another question.
Yes.
About the instruments. It's listed in your budget. It implies that S&A will be purchasing personal instruments, because they're being asked to be purchased every year. So does that mean that the members would keep the instruments that are being purchased by S&A?
That's a great question. Ideally, we would want to, well, the whole purpose of it, for it to stay here, because they don't serve any purpose for our personal use outside of the university. So and I think that is just like a tentative number of what we expend to grow. And so that's just, those numbers are just taking into consideration growth. As I think that as we move forward, and if approved by the board, we would just adapt those numbers to fit our needs. And if we didn't need, let's say 1 year, instruments, then we would just not touch that money until we need it for the following years. So that's just taking growth into consideration.
With the purchasing of the trackers, would those trackers stay for future generations, or are those gonna go along with?
No, again, they would just stay here. Again, we want to foster a program that the students can come and then can fit into a traje. It's kind of like tricky because the trajes have to be custom made in order to fit the standards that we're held at. Again, it's a cultural traje, so we can't just use like a common size medium. It needs to be adapted to each body. But I think that over the years, if we can have like a pick that somebody that has like the same structure maybe could use, maybe we could like tailor it, but that's something that is tasteful that can be moved like in the years. I think that's the goal. Yes.
A couple of questions. First off, I'd like to thank you guys for the amazing performance.
Thank you.
And the mariachi has always been kind of just like a hub of just like Latinx, Hispanic excellence, and I really appreciate what you guys bring to Central. That being said, I do have a couple questions about this updated budget. I see that it has section leader pay and so section leader pay. So the thing with S&A funding is that it can't be used for anything that can be given students academic credit. And so I'm curious about the process. How is the section leader going to interact with the mariachi if it's also a class?
That's a great question. Go ahead.
Well, I can talk about how right now what we do with the sections is we hold sectionals, and the section leader, they run the rehearsal, they come up with a plan with what they're going to rehearse
Outside of instructional time.
outside of instructional time. And so the hours that are listed as paid for the section leader, that's in regards to non-academic instructional time that's outside of class.
Outside of class, yes.
And then since I am also a music student, the music building also has a librarian. So what's the need for a student librarian that's part of this specific budget?
So
it's something, it's a model that like, again, that we are using in comparison to the librarian for the marching band and the pep band. We have a lot of moving parts within the ensemble. And so the hope is that they can that they can organize all the files that we have. We have tons of music, and if we have specifically asked for music for money for music, we need to like put it into the files and assign it to students. And I currently the music program doesn't hold space for somebody to take on that responsibility. So that is why we're asking if we can have help with that, because we do understand that that is a necessity. And if we're planning to grow, then we need help with that.
Another question is, I see that you guys have trajes, 20 uniforms per quarter. Will the class be utilizing this as well?
I think that's like, yes, I want to say yes. I think that anywhere where the mariachi goes, it's best that we're represented in the highest light. I do understand that there is some like gray area, and that can also be applied again to the marching band and the pep band. So I would like for all you to take that into consideration. But it's not about if it's being used inappropriately, it's just about cultural appropriation. So whenever the mariachi presents itself, it should be held at a high standard, and the trajes bring that standard to us. They make it so that you don't see what I wear today. You don't see my like all of your preconceived ideas of who I am have vanished because we're all in a uniform. Now your only focus is on the music and the emotion and the message that I'm delivering to you. So that's the purpose that the traje serves as a uniform and as a shield.
And then, thank you. I know these are like super interesting questions. So
Thank you.
Thank you for being able to answer these. I see in mariachi instruments, specifically for violins and trumpets, you guys mentioned that these are not really things that like people in the class can get. It's only like a methods thing. Have you guys tried working with the music department to be able to subsidize kind of this cost and be able to get the instruments you need, subsidizing by working with the music department?
That's a good question. We have approached in some conversation, not in any formal conversation with the music department. Currently, it's because we are like a class and a club, we have reached out to ask to use some other instruments, and the instruments that we are able to use is the ones that we do have. But there's only one guitarrón and one vihuela, so that's it. That's all we have. Everything else is already being used for other pedagogy classes, like the violins, trumpets, and so they don't have the supply to help us. In talks of like purchasing other instruments, I know that it's because we're not a program, a part of the music department. It's not budget that they have for us. So this is why we are asking for the committee if they will be willing to help us out with that, because we don't have that in the moment.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
So we do, a lot of the instruments are student owned. And the ones that we do, like for example, a bass that did belong to the program that is broken.
It's broken.
And it's out of commission. So if one of the students didn't have a bass, then we would be without a bass. So we also have asked for some sort of repairment.
But they're cultured instruments, so they need to be like, they have a specific care, and they're not instruments that you can find just like at Ted Brown. They're instruments that have to be shipped from Mexico or from suppliers that directly work from Mexico. And so the accessibility to these instruments also plays a crucial part, and they're expensive instruments. So not anyone can just buy a guitarrón and pick it up from the corner store. Like it's not that easy. So again, this is why you have a comment. Sorry.
I bought my vihuela prior to coming to Central, and I'm the only one with one, because actually the music building I don't think we have a viewell.
Well, oh, we don't have one.
No, we only have one guitarron, but that one broke, so.
And our guitarron was, is like $1,000. You can see on the budget, they're extremely expensive. And so, again, if maybe we can work something out with like a supplier, like I do know people in California and, like companies, maybe they can give us like a better offer, but we need the help of, the institution to be able to find manageable solutions.
I have one more question.
Yes.
How much money is the music department contributing to this effort that you're putting forward?
Well, I would like to say that we have a class, so it's a gray area, but I can talk on the behalf of the class. So because we are a class, they promote us on their website. We have access to the recital hall. We have priority booking. We have a teacher and he instructs us, but we are speaking in the behalf of that we acknowledge that we are growing in numbers. And this is something, they don't have the money as of now to be able to help us. And we are performing out in the community and we are not culturally appropriated. We're culturally appropriating our own culture. Like, that's crazy. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's the truth. And I wish that we could do more. And if this committee can like have grace on us and really provide that opportunity, I think that would be great.
So a lot of the funding, we do by fundraising. We perform in the community to raise funds for our club, and through the club, we're able to get some sort of funding for the class as well. We also have had a lot of help from Dr. Coyley. I believe he has helped us with when there's big events in the music building. He helps us by like closing down
Allowing us to table.
the table during those events, and that helps us with like trips that are coming up. Like I think last year we were in a time crunch and we were able to make it work because of Dr. Coyley. He helped us table during a big event with high schools and other organizations that come to the university. So we make it work. They have some support so that we can build funds, but when it comes to them directly giving us funds, it's not much. But we do have their support.
I have one question. So if you do get the mariachi specific instructor, could that then group you in with the music department?
I don't think well,
The instructors in the music building are paid from a different payroll. This would be coming from the S&A funding, so it wouldn't be involved with.
by default, no, because the money is not coming from them. But I think that like moving forward, that could be something that can be more viable and that we could use together to figure out. I'm so sorry. This is a conversation that as an institution, I think that we should all have. And we are students coming to you and pleading to you out of necessity. And we hope that like maybe that we can like foster conversations and that this can be the start of a great conversation, because we, as you can see with our numbers and how Central has progressed, the students are here. I do expect us to grow. I do expect this to be like a good place, and our like Central's current like retention rate is like at its ultimate low. And so I think that this could really foster like a sense of belonging for students to call home. And we talk about diversity and inclusion, but we forget about access. And we forget about belonging, and that's what we think that we can provide for these students is accessibility. And well, for Central to provide the accessibility because they like provide the instruments, but we will provide the belonging for them, for them to be able to call home.
Have you considered any other collaborations outside of the music department that you could potentially ask?
Yes, of course. We are currently at our community outreach coordinator here, Daniel, is talking with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce because we are working, Sorry, we want to go to the Lilac Parade, and it's the biggest parade in Washington State. It's nationally televised, and we're trying to see if maybe the community can come on and give us some funding and walk aside us, and also Central can walk aside us in this parade and really like highlight Kittitas County, like not only Central but also the community, and invite community members to walk with us. So yes, we're in the talks, but we're still waiting for responses.
Any other questions?
I have a couple if I may. So you mentioned you guys are a registered student organization, is that correct?
Yes.
But not, so have you asked Slice and Club funding for some of your travel and your instruments and things like that?
Yes, we have. Yeah, in the past, it was unfortunate actually because last year we asked for funding to go to the Northwest Mariachi Festival. They didn't have the budget to be able to help us, so we had to figure out and reach out to other departments on in campus. So we reached out to Source. They were so generous enough to be able to allocate us $1,500, which coincidentally just covered all of our hotel. And then they were able to approve us for motor pool. So that's how we got there. And then the club itself, with the opportunity from Dr. Kawili, and we were able to raise ourselves like $1,000. And then we also took some gigs in the community. We perform at local restaurants. So we invite you, if you ever have a chance, to come on down and watch us perform. And with all that money, we were able to raise like $2,500, and with that money that we hard earned, we used that money to pay for our food. So we got shut down, but we didn't let that we didn't let that stop us. We found other sources on campus, and were able to get us to where we needed to be. So we have reached out.
Quick comment.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, just really quick, the community also like, we've been getting to, like, whenever we need to raise funds, the community is very supportive. A lot of restaurant owners understand that we're still trying to build funds for like instruments and uniforms, and they'll just out of that reason, they still focus. I mean, it's not much, but the community does support us, and they've asked if we can perform and they love the mariachi, those events that they want us to perform in, and they're willing to support us just so that we can make certain things happen. But we're still just letting them know, like, we're open to expanding.
And it's mainly because mariachi brings community, like it really does. And the restaurants believe in us, and it's energetically, like, it's interesting, but like when we're ever at some kind of event, like that event fills up, and I think it's just testament to like we are community, and people will follow, and people want to see something that's outside of their norm. And we're not just an ensemble, we're an experience. Like you get to be a part of this, and you get to engage, and you get to feel something different that you don't get to feel every day.
Sure.
Yeah.
So my last question is, if you all were funded for how does regulating the instruments, who's making sure that everything is running as smoothly? I know a lot of you are doing it on volunteer now. I believe that's why you're asking for an instructor or somebody to help support you.
Yes, that is correct. That is, we are hoping that they can take the load, the majority of the load. We have also asked Doctora Cristina as our program advisor, because we understand that Dr. Smith is very busy, and he has his own classes that he has to worry about. So we think that with the help of other faculty, that they can help facilitate, we can really bridge those necessities, and then the instructor can do more of the heavy lifting of instructing and teaching and stuff like that. So yeah.
Alrighty.
Yes.
That concludes our questioning for today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Alrighty, how are we on time? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day. Good weekend. Next up on our agenda is deliberation. I don't think it was supposed to be deliberation. It was supposed to be business. Oh,
Yeah, because we were just visiting.
Yeah, it's like, didn't you?
Yes.
Like, requesting.
Yeah, so no deliberation today.
Yeah.
Hi, so, okay, so the sake of time, we will try to make this quick. So. I'm Hondo, many of y'all know me. I'm the Senate Speaker for Student Government. I'm one of the Board of Directors, been here for way too many years now. And working with me today is Nick, our VP. We're just here to present on our funding request for our upcoming event, Sweetie Day and Student Appreciation. We'll kind of explain what the event is, what it was in the past, what it is now, and what the request is itself. So this event initially was two separate events. The first part of it that we'll talk about is the Sweetie Day aspect. This event was specifically revived by my predecessor, Charles Johnson, when he was a Senate Speaker in his 2022-2023 academic year. This event had not happened for many, many years prior to that, until he took on the initiative to bring it back. Last year, when he was once again the Senate Speaker, he continued this event, and then this year, it's become basically a tradition, a part of ASC. So this event, it's meant to, beautify our campus, show off our artists, both music and artistic, and host different style of events. From last year, we had events like Casino Night, we had the Wildcat Farm, the tree planting. Those are examples of events that we've done at Sweetie Day in the past. Nick, do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So Student Appreciation Day, as it sounds, a lot of different programs come around here from campus and celebrate students. Dining last year, they hosted an event where they gave out food, Red Bulls, and stuff like that. And I believe last year it was somewhat associated with Sweetie Day as well, and that's going to be a continued collaboration today, or not today, but this spring quarter with Sweetie Day as well. Just an event to appreciate students and a lot of different programs to perform different ways to appreciate students.
Yeah, so when I kind of assumed, the role voted into this position, I kind of just absorbed Sweetie Day from my predecessor, and so I learned a lot about it as we've been kind of working together. Because of the budget cuts, we've had to definitely collaborate this year compared to years past. So last year, the Senate and our budget, the board's budget, really kind of took the major hits for Sweetie Day. This year, we just do not have the budget to be able to do that. And so this year, I reached out to Campus Activities, I reached out to 881 The Berg, and now we have a committee of different campus partners that are working together to kind of create one giant event that takes both the best worlds and brings them together. So we'll kind of explain what this is going to look like without giving away too much spoilers, because there's information I cannot share. Otherwise, Grace might yell at me. So in the morning, this is the kind of primary focus of the ASCWU Senate and the ASCWU office. We have right now 4 different service projects that we are looking at doing simultaneously within the morning from 10 to 12. 2 of them are tentative. The other 2 have already been approved by the Senate. The first one is going to be over at the Wildcat Farm cleanup. Senator Bridgewater is our senator at large this year, and as a returning senator, she will be one of the team leads at that site. We also have I wrote Pong, I realized that's supposed to say pond. Cleanup, Senator Campbell, who is our senator for sustainability. She is the primary lead for that location site. Then we are working right now with Lola and Slice on beautifying the butterfly garden. That was something that was brought up during our committee meeting. We've reached out to the mom for the garden, the mom of the student who the garden was dedicated to. So far, we've seemed to have positive interactions. We want to beautify this, but it's still a very tentative location because of the delicacy of the site. Because of like I said, because of the delicacy, if we're able to move forward with this particular project, I will be at that site. We've talked about also having board of directors there, just because we want to really kind of pay tribute to this site. The last one is a brand new one that has only been developed last week, but we are also going to be taking a trip to Brook Lane to the children's playground that is out there to clean that up. Vice Speaker Cordone, who's my vice speaker on the Senate, is going to be the team lead for that site. So we're going to be providing new mulch, new dirt, we're going to be cleaning up the equipment at that site. So that is the morning aspect of this combined student appreciation and Sweetie Day. The afternoon, we take shift over back here onto the campus, over on the east patio, and 3 of my senators will be having their events simultaneously. Senators Bridgewater and Delano will be running a tie-dye event. You'll kind of see why we're part of our request, and we'll show you that breakdown in a minute. Senator Marquez is going to be running Karaoke Showdown, which is kind of like open mic night, but during the day. And so he's working on that event in collaboration with Campus Activities. And then we are also working with other campus clubs, so working with Slice right now to get them more involved. And then we're also reaching out to the ESC or the Equity Services Council to see if they would like to table at the event as well, to basically have one giant event in the afternoon. Then the event kind of shifts, and the Senate then hands it over to the Campus Activities team, the dining team, 881 The Berg. We'll have live music, we'll have free food over on the west side of the campus, closer by Samuelson, by Black, and by Discovery. And so that will kind of be the wrap up of the event. So we're kind of taking from, like I said, both worlds to kind of create one really appreciative event. Because we want to keep to the traditions that was set by my predecessor, as well as taking the best of Student Appreciation Day. Like I said, because of the budget cuts all across the campus, ASC just does not have in our board budget to be, or even in my budget, to be able to try to do what we would like to do compared to years past. So this is really the time and place for collaboration. And thankfully, we've had really amazing campus partners to kind of help us bring this all kind of together. So this kind of goes into our request breakdown. Nick, do you kind of want to take over from here?
Yeah. So the dunk tank, the quote came in at 1,300, but we're requesting 1,500 specifically, just in case anything happens between now and then. It just gives us a buffer zone. And additionally, we're also going to be requesting 70 t-shirts and 100 white t-shirts. And so the total amount is going to come out to 2,925. And just to make it an even number, we're requesting 2,950. And the reason being is just to give us a buffer zone with the quote, and just in case that doesn't include taxes. That's one of the aspects of it as well. We aren't sure if that include taxes, but it does include delivery. And just the 70 red t-shirts will be used for the tie-dye as well as the white t-shirts. And that's kind of a breakdown of the budget.
Yeah, so kind of go a little bit more in depth with that more specifically. So if anybody saw the dunk tank last year, that was a very popular activity that we had during SWC Day. We got a lot of requests to bring that back this year. Thankfully, after working with Grace, we actually had a much lower quote for it this year than we did in the past. So because of that lower quote, we really want to take advantage of that and really try to bring that back due to this popularity. This would be part of the afternoon portion of the activity. So this would be one of the activities on the east patio. As it stands right now, I think I wrote, we have 4 board members. So myself, Vice President Villa, President Cantu, and Director Castillo has all volunteered to get in the dunk tank, along with Vice Speaker Cordone. And so this, like I said, this is a pretty popular one that we saw from last year, and one that we really feel we really want to bring back specifically from the SWC Day aspect of this. With the t-shirts, this breaks into 2 categories, like I said, for the red shirts and the white shirts. We'll kind of explain what that is right now. So for the red specifically, that is for all of the volunteers, members of our team. So this is not just for ASCWU, because all of ASCWU is on hands on deck. This is for any of our volunteers that we have helping us over the course of the day. This is for a couple of reasons. One is because we have off-site locations for our community projects. We really want to make sure that we know exactly who is from CWU and who's there helping, because we don't want people showing up. They're like, oh yeah, I'm here to help out. And then it causes a bunch of chaos and havoc, especially for our team leads. So the shirts will be really helpful. Basically, the idea is that we'll put the SWC Day logo on the front in the red and white color on the back, and then we'll put staff and volunteer. Sorry, Nick. That's going to be specifically, like I said, for our staff, for our volunteers, because basically we're going to be spreading out over the entirety of the day, helping out. The other half of that is the white t-shirts. This is going to be given specifically to Senator Bridgewater and Senator Delano for tie-dyeing. So last year they did tie-dyeing. Senator Bridgewater did tie-dyeing event as her signature event for the Senate. This year she asked if she could bring it into SWC Day and to build it on a bigger scale. We're working with the rec center on additional shirts and supplies as well. But this is specifically to create essentially a white and black version of the SWC Day shirt. That'll be like a limited edition, like come dye a custom t-shirt for SWC Day. And so that's kind of why we're requesting it based on what we saw from the past with Senator Bridgewater's previous event. She had 48 shirts and her event was 2 hours. She was gone from her shirts in the first hour. And so we kind of try to bring that scale up due to the size of Student Appreciation Day and SWC Day. We want to make sure there's a little bit more of a range compared to when it was a much smaller scale event. With the red shirts, we did specifically 70 because if we counted the ASCWU members, there's 35 of us in the office, plus campus activities, plus our volunteers from Slice. So we want to make sure we have enough that we can also give out to our service leads and to our morning activity teams. Because like I said, that's going to help us identify who specifically is supposed to be at those sites. And in the case of something happening or they need to communicate, we can easily say, hey, look for the person in the red shirt that says staff on the volunteer. Very easy, quick communication amongst all members of our party. That's kind of the breakdown of it. Like I said, don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. We're happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions?
What is the expected turnout for this event?
So last year for SWC Day, I believe we hit 200 to 300 participants. Because of the higher expectations with attendance, we're probably seeing what 500, 600 is probably what.
Dining estimated number is 2,000.
Oh, 2,000. Oh, I was way wrong. Apologies. And that's a lot of it has to do is because we're not only seeing a higher scale of attendance at our events this year, but because we're bringing the most of both worlds, we're gonna shoot a lot higher. for this, which is why we have the funding request to be able to accommodate our staff, accommodate all the students, at least for that first 100 students to come to the event with the tie-dye shirt and for the dunk tank, because that's it. Now, for the dunk tank, the one thing I forgot to include, and I do apologize for that. The dunk tank, like Nick said, it covers the quote. This is also for delivery and for 4 hours. So they will show up, they'll set up the dunk tank, they'll drop off the dunk tank, they'll come back and get it after 4 hours. Like I said, that's just a buffer to help us kind of create in case we have like any kind of like taxes or anything else that comes in last minute. But that whole portion, like I said, is for the entirety of the afternoon activity, which actually works out really great. Last year, it was quoted at like 5,000. This year, it's 1,300. So we're able to like, oh, awesome. So that's one of the things that one of our main pieces for the Sweet City Appreciation that we really would like to have.
Saying that you're trying to do 2 events at one day.
So essentially what we're doing is that we're taking the 2 events and we're combining them.
Okay.
So it's what was Student Appreciation Day, what was Sweet City Day, and now it is one event. So instead of it being where campus activities strictly planned student appreciation in the past, or the Senate planning Sweet City in the past, now it's all of us. So our campus partners include campus activities, 881 The Berg, dining, publicity. I think that's a majority of them off the top of my head. Recreation.
Equity Center, and then we also have quite a few clubs that are helping as well.
Yeah, Slice. So we're basically, like I said, because of the budget, but because we really want to show something to have something to appreciate our students. This is the event for collaboration right here. This is supposed to be the end of the year celebration for our students.
Any other questions? Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of list.
It's okay.
How was this funded last year? How was the dunk tank funded last year?
So from my understanding, the dunk tank came out of either the Senate or the board's budget. I don't know specifically, and that's only because I haven't been able to actually find that record. But to my understanding, it came either out of the Senate budget or the board's budget, and it came out of the general programming. And a lot of that had to do with the last year we did not have a full Senate. Last year we only had, but in the year we only had about 10 or 11 senators. And so my predecessor was able to kind of reallocate funds to be able to fill in those gaps. This year, that's not really possible because the fact that we did lose a senator recently, but because we have almost an entirely full Senate, we don't have the ability to reallocate those funds like it was done in the past.
And is ASCWU going to sponsor some part of the dunk tank, like the actual office, not just the Senate?
Like the BOD budget?
Yeah.
Within that budget, we currently don't have the funds to sponsor this at the moment. So that's part of the reason as well as for the supplemental request.
And because of our Senate budget, because we only have 1,000 right now, we're using that for our end of the year stuff for ASCWU, so our class awards for our senators, for our staff. We're using that for other events, for our other senator events right now. So even with that limited 1,000, we don't have the capacity to be able to basically sponsor it, even with the other offices budget. Now, something we have discussed in the past is shifting this event to a different part of the office for next year. But that's a future conversation.
My other question is, sorry, my handwriting is really small. So how long did you know that your budget didn't have enough funds to support this?
I can say I started planning this in fall quarter. As soon as I took office, I found the folder. I'm not even joking you, ask Grace. It's about this thick, just of notes and papers from last year. Once the board came into office, we took a look at our budgets. We said, what is plausible, what is not plausible? And then that is when we started the conversation. That's when I reached out to Grace. That's when we reached out to our campus partners, pretty much almost immediately starting fall quarter, because we realized right from the start, also looking at what we were able to kind of understand from the budget from last year, working with Aaron. Basically, we took a last year's Sweet City Day and we said, absolutely not. We do not have the budget for this. And so then we started to basically come up with plan B. Okay, what is plan B? Plan B is starting collaboration. And so then since then, pretty much since fall quarter, Grace and I and our campus partners, we've been kind of each part of our partners are contributing a different aspect of it. This is our part, is contributing, is what we would like to contribute to it.
So if you knew about it in fall quarter, why was there no other source to supplement funding, like fundraising or something like that?
So for example, the tie-dye shirts, this was something that my senators did not plan until this quarter. So that is because specifically for the white shirts, that is the reason why. Because I told all my senators that I didn't want them starting to plan their events until winter, but mostly for spring. Because in fall, to make a quick turnaround like that is impossible. even in winter, it's very difficult to do. So this was something that my senators came to us and said, hey, we want to do this when we started this. Now, with Senator Marquez, it's the same thing. He did the same thing. With the dunk tank, I reached out to Grace, and once we were able to do that, then we could basically file that funding request. We didn't do it last quarter only because the fact that there was stuff that we were still waiting on, mostly on budget stuff, because we had gotten like our insurance last quarter. And so that was another aspect of it. We were kind of waiting to see, was there any room in our budget to handle this directly and do this ourselves? But once we had that confirmation at the end of fall quarter going into winter from Aaron, from Nick, that kind of gave us the green light to go, okay, we do not have, there's just no room.
And then I'm like curious about this. How many requests do you have a number of how many students are requesting the t-shirts and everything?
So as of right now, I'll flip it over to the breakdown real quick. So for the white shirts alone, this is a request from Senator Bridgewater based off of the data that she got from last year. Based on the number of last year, she had 48 shirts that she had gotten for her event, and those were gone in the first hour. So this was because we knew that this was going to be a bigger scale event, we upped that number. Right? For the red shirts, we took into account of how many members of ASCWU, because all of ASCWU was on hands on deck for that. Then we took into account how many campus partners we have that are going to be on site helping with this location, like campus activities, 88 on the Berg, Slice, stuff like that. So then we basically, we have a committee that basically came together and said, okay, what is this number going to look like? For the dunk tank itself, based on what I was able to get from my predecessor and from conversations with other board members like Nick, a good portion of the students, I want to probably say probably 100 to 150 of them really enjoyed the dunk tank, especially Nick. Nick got dunked way too many times last year. I think he was one of the only board members that got repeatedly dunked and got back in the dunk tank. And so because we saw that popularity of it as well, this was something that we wanted to bring back. So that dunk tank was something I had kind of collectively decided based off the feedback from the other board members. But the shirts was something that we had talked about as the committee working together to say, what is this number going to look like?
And my last question is this in your budget for next time?
So because of the budget cuts next year, it's difficult to say, so I'll have to get back to you on that. And that is mostly because the fact that we're gonna have to take a look at not only for this, but the scale of the event, what does our attendance look like, and then what can we change? This, for example, like the white shirts, this might not exist next year. And that is because that is something specific to one of my senators. So that might not even be part of it next year. With the red shirts, that might be something that the next Senate speaker or the next board can decide. I don't know if I'll be here next year. So that will be something that they will have to kind of collectively decide themselves if they want to keep the event or work with their campus partners.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any other questions?
I just have one comment. I have a great picture of Malik.
I also have a good picture. It's contact photo on my phone. He's going like this in the dunk tank.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, I'll be making my second call for public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, I do have some. I'm making a video for admissions, and it's like gonna be like, why should you apply to CWU? And it's gonna be like student voice, and I thought this was perfect for that. So if y'all can stay after like maybe a minute, just to record a short. That'd be great.
Not me, right?
I mean, you guys should be in it.
Students, right?
Like student voice is valued. That's what. Any other public comment? Okay. Thanks. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn today's meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of adjourning today's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned at 1:30.